Hi there, Stampers. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Welcome to my YouTube and Facebook Live. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I go live every Monday and Thursday with some sort of a paper crafting project, usually a fun fold card. Today, we're going to be playing around with this Pendulum card. And what it is it's got this little swinging bird in the middle. And we're going to learn how to do that, make it swing. This is something I've done before. I've done it with a bird in a nest. I've done it with a dragonfly. Anything that kind of like swings around in the air, this works really well with. So I can't wait to show you how it's done. I want to congratulate Carol Schaefer for winning the Prize Patrol on Monday. I don't know, I'm gonna have to either mail the gift flat before it's been all put together or make a card similar because it was a 3D item, which is kind of hard to mail, but congratulations to Carol for being Monday's winner. What she did is she liked and shared the video, and that got her put into a drawing to win the project or win the prize for that day. So let me move you down to my desk and make those words stop. They get a little distracting to me, so they must be to you too. Okay, so here we are down on my desk. And as I said, this is our card. And it swings. And there's a little mechanism on the inside that we're going to build, and I'll show you how we do this. We're going to be using the Winterly Treetops bundle. I am using the stamp set and the dies and the designer series paper, which is part of the suite. And then we're also going to add on the stylish shapes dies to cut that circle out of the middle. I'm going to be using these two dies, so it's the second and third one down from the largest. We're going to use the two of those. And as I said, the dies and the designer series paper coordinate in that this die will cut out the single bird, and this die here cuts out the two birds. Now they also cut out the stamps, so if you wanted to stamp them and then color them, by all means, go ahead and do that. I'm prepping for a craft fair this weekend, like my largest one of the year. It's 3 full days. And I'm not quite ready. I thought my husband was going to be helping me, and he told me last weekend he won't be there tomorrow. So I'm kind of in panic mode, getting everything ready for that craft fair and psyching myself up to being alone from 10 to 7. I'm hoping I don't have to use the restroom or have lunch, you know, those simple things. But okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to die cut this out. And then I'm going to also die cut in the front of our card. So I'm going to bring in our card base. Our card base is done in gray granite, which is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And then I've got 2 pieces of designer series paper. I ran out of this really pretty one I used here. So I'm going to be using 2 of the same one for this card. So they're both 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to put one on the inside, one on the outside, because it's going to be in there in the background. And you're wondering, where do I sign the card? Well, you're going to sign it on the back. So I have this piece of 4 by 5 1/4 that will go on the back. And then I have a little accent piece that is 4 by, it's 5/8. But just a little something to give it coordination on the back. You could also, you know, stamp along the bottom, maybe put the archway stamped up here. Anything that you can do to just make it coordinate. I just like the inside and the outside to kind of look like they go together. And then I've got a stabilizer piece. This is what goes at the bottom that keeps it from falling open. So this was 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. And it's scored at 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, and then 2 inch. And then I folded it into this little kind of W or an M, depending on how you hold it, I guess. Because it's going to go into the card this way, it's a W, because the middle mountain one is going to go up into the card, and the 2 valleys will hook to either side. Then I have a piece of scrap of our gray granite that's going to be the 2 circles that I'm going to die cut them together, and then that's going to make me the ring. Then I'm going to need a scrap of basic white and our gray granite ink and some paper snips to cut out that. And then I've got some linen thread. And then I also have some of our older brads. You know, once I bought these, I never needed to buy them again. There's a ton of them in here. But you're going to want one of these little brads. They have different kind of tops on them. There's, I think, some squares and there's some little circles. But you just need, you know, one of these. Doesn't matter what color because it's going to be hidden on the inside. And then you need a piece of acetate, and I'm going to cut this down. I only need a strip of it because this is what we're going to adhere the bird to, and it's what's going to swing. And I wanted it to kind of look like it was swinging in midair, so I don't want the strip visible. So that's why it's clear acetate. You just have to be really careful you don't lose it on the table. I have a tendency to do that because it's clear. I set it down and I don't know where it went. Okay, so I have my larger cut and emboss machine over here to the side because I need to be able to fit my entire card base through there. But for the front of the card, I want the die cutting to go through the designer series paper and the card base. So I'm going to glue those on first. I'm not putting any adhesive in the middle where the circles are going to go because I wanted the two of them separate so I can use them on another project. But it wouldn't matter if you did glue them together. That's up to you. That's just why I'm not putting adhesive in the middle, in case you were wondering. Again, I wanted the second piece in there for our background. But this is going to be solid, so it can be adhered all the way across. And as I said, we were going to put this one on the back. Because I'm stamping on the front and I don't really know what I want on the back, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it blank for now. Of course, if you were going to put a sentiment on the back, I would of course suggest stamping before adhering the little strip and then adhering it to the card, because if you made a boo-boo, you might want to flip it over and stamp on the other side. So I want to take my smaller of the two and I'm going to cut right there in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to set that on my plate. I'm using my precision base plate. This is something that's on my website under my Amazon recommendations. The nice thing about it is it's a precision base plate, so it does intricate dies very well, and it also doesn't get the cut marks in it, and it doesn't get the cardstock embedded in it like you do on the clear plates. Grab. There we go. That worked a whole lot better when I stood up and fed it through. Because I'm going through the cardstock and the designer series paper, and then I'm going to check on the back side and make sure that it did indeed go all the way through before I remove it, because if I needed to, I would want to run it through the die cutting machine once again before I moved it so that it was in the same spot. Then because it has the stitching around the outside edge, I'm going to push my fingernail around the outside edge to help push those out, because the stitching for the die kind of has a little tighter grasp. The little teeth kind of dig in a little bit. Now I'm going to take this same die and then the one larger and my scrap of gray granite, and I'm going to run this through the machine and get a circle ring. So are any of my friends today from New Mexico or Arizona? I've been hearing they got a whole bunch of snow. My daughter lives in Los Lunas, New Mexico, and then works up in Albuquerque. And they had so much snow that it broke trees all over the place, and something like 51,000 people lost power. All the way from Santa Fe to Berlin. It was just all out. So she was calling me, asking me, how do I get my car out of the garage? And, you know, all those things that you worry about. How do you get ready to go to work in the dark without flashlights, you know, with clean batteries? It was pretty funny. So we got her going, and the granddaughter got off to school and all that. So but it was some excitement for this morning to know that they got 5 inches kind of out of nowhere. That's a lot of snow for that area and very early in the season. We haven't even gotten that much snow up here in Idaho yet. Okay, so I'm going to run that through. Australia, that's kind of exciting. See someone visiting us from there. I'm sure you don't have snow this time of year. Alrighty. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to save these. They can be used on another project. Try to be careful not to lose this little clear piece. And oh, and then I need the strip that is 2 inches by 1/2 inch. And then it's scored at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then 1 1/2. And then I'm going to glue the 2 middle pieces together. And do that. This is the mechanism that's going to hang in the center of my card and allow the bird to swing back and forth. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch a hole in this. This is a 1/8 inch hole punch. If you don't have this, the pointy part of our take your pick tool, when it goes all the way through, that is 1/8 of an inch. And I need that hole through here. And I need it kind of close to the top, so I am going to trim this down a little. Because when that goes on there, it's going to actually swing back and forth. So I'm going to take my brad and I'm going to stick it through that hole. Then it's going to go through this hole. And that's what's going to help it swing. Okay. But what I wanted to do was I want to stick this on the inside of my card, spanning the score line inside. So I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue because I want wiggle time to move it around. Hopefully it dries really quickly for me so we can continue on with our card, but I want to wiggle it until I'm right there, and I want to be able to close it. And I can also use the liquid glue for our ring. because again, that'll give me some wiggle time and make sure that it is placed where I want it. I'm using just a little bit of glue. We don't need very much on there. A little goes a long way with our liquid glue. Thank you to those who have been liking and sharing my videos. It has made a difference. I have noticed an uptick in the number of views that I have gotten, so it's working. Thank you. Does anybody have questions on like how far we are? I tend to kind of sail right through it rather quickly, and I forget that you may have some questions in there or need me to explain something a little further. So if you do, please speak up. But that's the part you need to know about, is just that little thing in the middle. And then when I go to put this on, I don't want the brad to be very tight. So to prevent it from being super tight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper snips, or you could take tweezers, you know, just something that will allow you to open it up, but not open it too tightly. Because I want a little bit of a gap in there, because I want that to swing easily. Now, if this was pushed down really tight, the little thing would not swing. So we want that to be, you know, good and loose so that it will swing. And then I want to look where it is. And then I want to take my little bird and I want to kind of eyeball where he's going to go, because I want him to be right in the middle. And then I want some glue dots or something right there. So it's just, you can see it's like 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom. You could use glue dots. Probably would have been a smarter thing. See, now he swings back and forth. Okay, now there's a little bit of a lump here, but that's okay. Like I said, we want to make sure we're keeping this nice and loose. I think I just pressed it a little too hard and made it stop. Okay. And now we want to add our stabilizer piece to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is put some adhesive on one side. And then I'm adhering it. And I just went a little bit up, not much. Oh, I guess I need to go a little more, don't I? I want it to not show the middle piece. I guess I should pay more attention to how far up I'm going so that the middle piece is that distance, because I wouldn't want it setting directly on this. Now I'm going to hold this tight closed, and then I'm just going to close my card and see where it falls naturally. That will ensure that it's going to fit into my envelope and go flat. My bird still wiggles. Whoever gets this as the prize patrol should know that if it's not wiggling nice and free like that, it means that the post office smashed the brad too tight, and you just want to loosen that up and it will work just fine. Just a note on that. Now we're ready for our sentiment. And I don't do these very often. I know there's a lot of other demos that do these, and I don't know. I don't know why I don't do them more often. Probably because I'm on camera and I'm conscious of not taking too much of your time. But this card is going together so quickly that I think we have plenty of time to do this. Yeah, because we're not even half an hour in and I'm about done. And again, I'm not having to line it up on the grid line or anything because we're going to cut it out. So it doesn't matter if it's straight because we're going to cut that out. But I did notice my stamp is a little off center. So I just want to make sure that my words, you know, are on there all the way. And so it's tighter to the bottom than it is to the top. Usually that's not an issue, but this one it is. It doesn't affect the stamping at all, and that usually doesn't happen, but occasionally it will. If it at all interferes with the letters and it doesn't stamp correctly, Stampin' Up! Will replace it. But because this one stamps perfect, I didn't ask for a replacement. So I'm going gray granite ink because I have gray granite paper, and I chose the gray granite paper because that's the color used in our designer series paper. I absolutely love that Stampin' Up! Does that for us, that everything is color coordinated. So if you were to buy gray granite in ribbon or ink or designer series paper or cardstock, it's all going to be exactly the same shade. If you're looking for how things coordinate together, I do sell these little swatches in my online store that allow you to pull out, you know, whatever colors you're working with. Usually what I'll do is I'll look at my designer series paper. On the back of the pack, it will list all of the colors that are in that designer series paper, and then I will grab those swatches and kind of pull them together and then decide how I'm going to put the rest of my card together. So for this, I'm just kind of turning the paper. I'm holding my scissors comfortably, and then I'm turning the paper to kind of follow the edge of the letters, trying to keep the same distance. Nobody's going to come along and measure it, but I try to keep it even. See, I just kind of cut around the outside edge. And then if I think one corner is a little too sharp, I can come back in and just trim it up a little. So there is our fussy cut sentiment. And I'm going to bring in, like I said, some linen thread. And I want it to just kind of wind around on the back side. So I'm going to bring in a couple of glue dots. I like glue dots with ribbon and twine because they're a little thicker and they grab a little better. So I'm going to put 2 of them on there, and then I'm going to start with an end and stick the end back there so I don't have anything loose hanging out. And then I'm just going to kind of wind it around, trying to be haphazard, which sometimes works for me and sometimes doesn't. And then again, I'm going to cut it off on the back, so I'm burying both of the ends, making sure that they are stuck to the glue dots. Then because there's a little bit of bulk there, I want to pop it up on dimensionals before I stick it to my card. And that's going to give me more what I call clearance. to not interfere with, you know, making a lump out of that twine. Okay. So I've just got 3 little minis on the back there. So we're ready to stick that on the front. So there we are. If you joined us late, please like and share the video. And feel free to watch it on a replay to make your own version of the Pendulum swing card. Okay, are there any questions? I'll go ahead once again and share that our winner from Monday was Carol Schaefer. She won the card or the prize on Monday. I'm either going to try to figure out if I can fit the 3D box into an envelope kind of flattened out without the candy in it, or make a coordinated card. But she will get a prize in the mail from me for liking and sharing the video. Again, everything I use is Stampin' Up! Related and can be found in my online store. And I would love to earn your business. Thanks so much. Bye.